are we supposed to mute ourselves except when we're speaking?
Yes, please.
Okay, I don't see us going live on the YouTube, but maybe Nathan's just waiting for us to give him the signal. Nate, we are ready to go live. Okay, Kathy, everybody's here.
Are we live too?
I'm hoping that Nathan's listening because he's signed in.
Okay, well, I don't want to call it to order till...
Let's see it. Nathan, are you there? If you are, make us go live. Oh, we're live.
It says we're live.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I will call us back to open session order at 6:02. We have nothing to... Public participation items from non-agenda items. Nothing, Anna, that came in?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. Even though we're on Google Hangout, I'm going to go ahead and read the public comment announcement in case anybody does send anything in. So individuals may address the board on agenda items in both closed session and regular session agenda during public participation and or at the time they are under consideration by completing the email form that should be on the bottom of the video link now. And that will go to Anna. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers will be chosen in a random order, and each person's topic will be read. They can speak once per topic and is required, obviously, to send that through the email. Public comment cannot be acted upon or discussed by the board unless placed on an agenda at a subsequent meeting in accordance with the Brown Act. The board may request staff to respond orally to the meeting or tonight or in writing in the public writing in a future time. I'm trying to make this a or go with what we're doing, but I'm screwing this up. Okay. And then we have total for 20 minutes per topic. Remember that we are being taped, and please silence your phones and make sure that you're muted when we're not talking to reduce feedback. Okay. So nothing's come in, Anna?
I only have one item that's the comments on an agenda item, so that will come up in a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so then we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Is there anything we know of that needs to get moved or tabled?
No.
Okay. All right, then I will ask for someone to approve the agenda.
I so move, Jerry.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second. Could you hear me?
Sure. So everybody has to unmute for a minute, and then we'll do an aye. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll go to patriotic exercise by Trustee Paoli.
So I'm going to double dip tonight because there's two days that I'd like to honor. Thursday, April 2nd was Autism Awareness Day. In the U.S., 159 children are diagnosed on the autism spectrum. While the diagnosis is common, public understanding of autism is not. The lack of understanding about the condition can make life even more difficult for children with autism. A recent study reveals that children with autism are 5 times more likely to be bullied than their peers. Treatment no child should endure. While it's true there can be significant differences between people with autism and their peers, all children want the same thing: to feel safe, happy, and loved. And all children have something to contribute, unique perspectives and talents that help make the world a richer and more interesting place. So some of us that were able to go home are wearing our autism awareness shirt from the district. And I'd also like to honor a gentleman that we probably all know from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, He actually was honored back in 2002 with the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his contribution and dedication to children and their emotional growth. And I didn't actually realize that he had the program for 50 years. And upon his death, the U.S. House of Representatives unanimously passed Resolution 111, honoring Rogers for his legendary service to the improvement of the lives of children, his steadfast commitment to demonstrating the power of compassion, and his dedication to spreading kindness through example. And we don't have many programs today like his. His was a little corny, but he really did capture what was going on in the news and to provide stability for children that were watching programs back in my day. And I wanted to just finish with his famous quote. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in the world. So during our pandemic that we're experiencing, keep looking for the helpers, keep your hope, and count your blessings.
Okay, thank you, Diana. All right, so now we'll move on to acknowledgements.
Acknowledgements. So today is National Librarian Day, April 16, 2020. So we're excited about that. Our acting senior librarian assistants in Fort Bragg Unified for Redwood, it's Kelly Sutton. Miss Kelly does a fabulous job with the school. Thank you, Kelly, for all you do. For Dana Gray in the middle school, it's Chris Price. Thank you, Chris, for your dedication and service. And for the high school, it's Carol Nolte. Carol, thank you for all you do. We are blessed with 3 very talented people, and today is actually honoring them as well. Also, we have Administrative Assistants Day, which is Secretary's Day on April 22nd. Thank God for our administrative assistants because we would drown without them. So kudos to them. Then we have School Principals Day on May 1st. We have School Nutrition Employee Week, May 4th. And if anybody wants to see some real heroes, check out our Dana Gray and Redwood on Tuesdays. Pilar mentioned that this last Tuesday, they served 771 children. And when you consider that in each bag is 10 meals, 5 lunches and 5 breakfasts, and they served 7,710 meals. But that's a lot of food. So kudos to our School Nutrition Employee Week. And then Teacher Appreciation Day, which is sponsored by CTA, is May 5th. And then what we do in FBUSD is we honor the staff all together on May 13th, which is the Wednesday between the Teacher Appreciation Day and the Classified School Employee Week, so that we can honor all of our employees at that time. So we do that on May 13th, and the Classified School Employee Week is May 17th through 23rd. Back to you, President Babcock. You need to unmute, Kathy.
Sorry, I clicked on something that had a notification and then I lost my mute button. Okay. All right. So thank you for that. And thank you for all the staff and their hard work. All right. Number 6 is communication. I will start. I only had one nurse send me a message, and I had forwarded that to Becky early on in the pandemic situation. So other than that, I haven't heard from anybody. We'll just try to go one at a time and see if anybody has any correspondence. Okay, it looks like there's none. Okay, so we'll move on to public participation on agenda items. So I would say, Anna, based on what you have, do you think it's more appropriate now or when the item comes up on discussion?
I can read it now, or I can read it both. Either one.
Okay, well, I will read the statement that I will read, and then Anna will share with us. So the following public comment was received by the district using the telecommuting public comment email address. For ease of public participation, it will be read, and this should not be construed as an endorsement of this comment by the district or as the position of the district.
Did Kathy freeze on anybody else, or was it just me? Okay, so Kathy, I'm going to ask you to read that one more time.
Okay. All right. The following public comment was received by the district using the telecommuting public comment email address. For ease of public participation, it will be read into the record by the district employee. This should not be construed as an endorsement of this comment by the district or as the position of the district.
Thank you.
So we received one public comment on agenda item 10.1, which is the social studies adoption. It was received from Richard Becker from Fort Bragg Middle School and Social Studies Department Chair.
Anna, I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
Okay.
You're really muffled and hard to understand in here.
Okay, well, I think it's probably because I'm using my laptop.
That's better, Anna.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Richard Becker, Middle School Social Studies. He said, "Thank you for considering new textbooks and curriculum for the social studies at Fort Bragg Middle School. In these times of modified schooling and remote learning, this new curriculum we have chosen provides many digital resources which will be invaluable next year if we have to continue our current practices. It provides more tools and resources for teachers to create engaging standards-based lessons that students are able to complete in a modified setting." That's it.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. And that's the only one so far that we've received?
That is all we received, yes.
All right. So I'm assuming if we do have someone that's watching and then does have a comment, they are able to send that to you during the discussion.
Yes, I have the email open and I will report if anything comes in.
Maybe we should say that throughout the meeting if people join us. But it is on the bottom of the screen, right?
It is, yes.
Okay. All right. Then never mind. We don't need to. Okay. So we'll move on to reports. I know we're in a very unique situation and our agenda is actually pretty light tonight, but one of the things that we had tried to do as a board to streamline things is that we will have 5-minute reports per topic. We do know that does have to change once in a while because of the nature of the topic and the detail we need, but just a kind of a reminder. And then also that the board 8.1, we had decided that we would like to do kind of more of a highlight and a shout out to the district. And of course, there's lots to do this time, and we're actually not getting to go to sites, but instead of doing a laundry list of things that we've been doing, more about celebrating what's been happening on our campuses and with students. So those two reminders as we move through reports. So the first one is our board report. And I don't know what kind of order we want to go in.
Why don't you call names, Kathy? I think it'd be a lot less confusing just to call on people.
Okay, I'll go down how you guys show up on my screen. So we'll start with Diana.
So I did review my calendar and there were many things that we missed, but I do, like everyone, I'm sure will want to shout out to the entire district for all the departments and all the staff that had to think outside the box and push through and had a lot of technology at their fingertips, but now we're a little bit forced to try some ideas, YouTube videos. We've got grade level collaboration so that families can check out what the grade level is doing or needing from distant learning. Nutrition, the maintenance, transportation have all been stepping up, and just a shout out to the community because it's difficult for working families that are trying to work and take care of their kids and do distant learning and their families, and hoping that they can provide for their families financially. So just a shout out to the community for being patient with each other and just be thankful for what, the blessings you have.
Okay, now of course the order's changed. So now Jerry's on the top.
I'd like to echo what Diana said. It's a team effort here. It's very hard for everybody, and we'll get through this. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Mary?
Okay, before I say anything else, can you all hear me? Yeah, okay. So you guys go blank and freeze frequently. So if you ever say something to me and I don't respond, it's because you're all frozen, but which I think you might be now. Anyway, I would echo what Diana and Jerry said. It's been a phenomenal effort. I'm in awe of everyone. And I spoke with Laura today, the principal at middle school, and she asked me to give a particular shout out to the food service workers and the custodians, because it is truly amazing what they're doing. So thank you to everybody. Very much appreciate it.
Okay.
And that's all.
Thank you, Mary. Scott?
Sure. Again, just a shout out. I think everyone's just doing the best they can. Everyone has to be flexible, and patient is a big one. And people, students, teachers, families are all going through their own nuances with this thing, and just a good thing to be compassionate when dealing with others. And we're a strong community and a strong district, and I'm grateful for the leadership that we have, and just encourage everyone to keep on trucking.
All right. Thank you, Scott. I just wanted to say thank you as well, but there's no sense in trying to do another list. But it is amazing what has happened in a very short amount of time, and it's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so then we go on to superintendent's report. The first one is the Measure B.
So with Measure B, it did pass, which I have to tell you, at this time in the March meeting, we were all talking about it not passing because at the time it was at 52%. All the absentee ballots that have been calculated and counted put Measure B at a little over 56%, which is enough for Measure B to pass. We needed 55%. So that's great news for the district. We want to make sure that everyone in our community recognizes that we are going to be sensitive to our current economic climate. And right now, what we're going to be doing in the district is doing the behind the scenes paperwork and legal documents that are necessary for Measure B to move forward. But as far as selling any bonds and moving forward with that part of Measure B, we are going to wait until we have some plans in place for our facilities, and we do a little bit more preparing. And again, I just want to echo that we are going to be sensitive to the needs of our community. We're really going to work together as a board and as administration to present you as a board some of the planning, some of the ideas, so that we can come together and prioritize how we handle each of the projects. So right now, Barry's going to be working with some companies to bring them out for some quotes and some bids. And so we're going to start that process as well. But all we're doing right now is we're preparing the paperwork so that we get the legal and the behind the scenes documentation done so that we can move forward. So you will see some resolutions coming at you next month, some legal paperwork coming at you within the next couple of months. But again, I just want to echo that we are sensitive to our community at this time, and there will be much discussion before we move forward with selling any bonds. Questions for me?
Are we still, sorry.
Go ahead.
Are we still moving forward with that committee, or is that still?
So yes, once Barry's going to get a couple of things in order for us, and we are going to bring a committee together. We're going to be working with the administrators as well. So, but we can't get a committee together until shelter in place is out. We can do some things virtually, but there are things that I would like us to do. Like I would like to try and get a group of people together so we can walk the site, so we can be very specific on what we're looking at and what some of the needs are. We do have a needs assessment that was completed by SchoolWorks. We are going to be reliant on that to a certain extent. But to move this forward, I would like the shelter in place somewhat lifted, whether it's we're all masked up and we get people together and then walk the sites and start talking about priorities, and then listing out those priorities as specifically as possible so that we can figure out, okay, what's the first one? What's the second one? The money that we will be getting from the bond is enough to do some of the great work that needs to be done, but not enough to do all the work that everybody would like to be done. I had someone approach me the other day and say, woohoo, does this mean we get a second gym for the high school? And I said, oh, wait a minute. We have to prioritize a little bit of what we're doing. So we're going to have to wait for the shelter in place before we can do a lot of the heavy lifting with this. Barry or Wendy, did you want to add anything? Okay.
Okay. So then the COVID-19 update is our next topic.
So what's interesting is when I submitted this update, that was a week ago. And the good part is that our county remains at four cases of COVID-19. All 4 cases have moved into the recovered category, which is fantastic. We have no one right now in our hospitals who have been diagnosed with COVID-19. Everything that our community is doing to shelter in place, to wear masks, to maintain social and physical distance, everything that our community is doing is helping us remain in this safe place. The reason I said that I wrote this a week ago is because on Tuesday, Governor Newsom had a press conference, and in that press conference, he talked about bringing the community back gradually from COVID-19. When I wrote this update last Friday so that it was submitted to the board, at that point, our trails were not open, and the coastal trail has been gradually reopened to our public. So there are things moving in a positive direction. The big concern that we are going to have right now at Fort Bragg Unified is the details of what this means to come back and transition back from COVID-19. The transitioning part is something that we are going to have some deeper discussions with. We started the discussion with the administrative team this week before the governor made the announcement. And what the message was that we had to each other was that we are going to hope for the best. Hoping for the best means that our kiddos come back, we're free and clear, and everybody can hug and shake hands and do all of that again in a safe way and be together in the classroom, how whatever our normal was back in November. The reality is that we are being asked to prepare different scenarios for a gradual return to school. We have huge concerns with this on many levels. What does gradual mean? What type of flexibility will the state provide for us in funding, in ADA, in attendance, in minutes for that gradual return? And anybody who's had access to a 5-year-old, I'm just going to put it out there. God bless our kindergartners. They are wonderful human beings, and we've all been there. We were all 5 years old at one point. Asking a 5-year-old to stay 6 to 9 feet from another 5-year-old, and I'm talking about our kindergarten classes, is really going to be an enormous challenge. So we are having conversations right now, developing different scenarios on what that looks like, what that feels like, and how we implement that, and then how we enforce it. And enforce is going to be the dirty little word here. How do we do this to keep people safe so it doesn't turn into a disciplinary issue? I'm concerned because I recognize that there will be families who may not want their kids to return. So for right now, just to let everybody know, we are developing the beginning stages of several different scenarios. We have to wait for the gavel to get clinked, if you would, so that we know what decision is made. And when those decisions are made, then we will turn to the different scenarios that we have in developmental stages to see which scenario is going to work best, given the restrictions and given the guidelines from the state, from our health officer, from CDE. So for right now with COVID-19, again, our community is doing a fabulous job. People are maintaining their social distance. We only have 4 cases. They are all in the recovered category. Our goal is to keep people healthy and safe and to save lives. So what we are doing is working. No one knows if we've hit our peak in Mendocino County. By all accounts, we have not. So we continue to shelter in place and hold. Again, we are having conversations about developing plans on a gradual return, but we have no idea at this point what this means because we have no clear guidelines on what that entails. Questions? Okay, just to reiterate also, meals are down to 1 day a week, Tuesdays only. Please make sure you are at Redwood or Dana Gray between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. if you need a meal. I had a poor little mama come in today and say, I thought we were doing meals on Thursdays. And I said, I'm so sorry, it's only Tuesdays. So please make sure you mark your calendar. Okay, thank you, Ms. Kathy.
Okay. There was a question, Anna. I saw something pop up. No?
Yes, there was
Okay.
a question about homework. I don't know if you can answer questions, but this parent says, should we be turning in homework that our students have completed, and will we be able to register our preschoolers in the fall?
So we are working on a registration plan right now. Believe it or not, kindergarten registration is our top priority. So we are working on how to do that in a paperless environment. So Lundy Erickson, the principal at Redwood, brought that to me this week. We're in conversations with that. We hope to have something rolled out in May. As far as preschool registration, that will fall in line as well. There's plenty of time to register because school does not begin until August 19th. So we're going to address that. As far as the homework, if it's paper homework, we're going to ask everyone to hold on to it. And then have that student contact their teacher. That's the biggest thing. Any questions with homework, any questions with assignments, contact your teacher. If you can't get a hold of your teacher, contact your principal. There are also questions about summer school. It is too soon to tell if summer school is going to happen. I have to be really honest with folks. I don't anticipate summer school happening. From all the reports that I'm hearing from CDE, from Tony Thurman, from Gavin Newsom, it doesn't appear likely that summer school will happen this year. However, if something changes, we'll be the first person to send out an Aries All Call. And a principal told me the other day, Becky, our families are inundated with Aries All Call. They are not even listening to them anymore. We will try to be as judicious as possible in our messaging to parents. I would encourage every parent to review our district website. We keep all our COVID-19 updates on the district website. And when you get an Aries message, if you're tired of it coming on your phone, check your email because it comes through email as well. Other questions?
Anna, did that cover everything that's come through?
Yes, those were the two questions that came up. That's it.
Can I ask a question?
The first person, the homework question was Lacey Perez, and the summer school question, excuse me, was Chandra Lenko.
Okay, and is there any questions from the board?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Great. So I guess, Becky, it'd be nice to know, how is the district doing? Are you feeling frustrated? I guess there's probably get a sense of what's happening out there.
Well, so first off, I want to thank all of you for the shout outs that you did for the staff. The custodial team has been pretty phenomenal. I had David Allen Bradley, and if all of you know David Allen, he's quite a character and a good loving guy. He's the head custodian at the high school, and he was touting how the first thing they did was go through and clean and replace all the filters in the vents so that they could clean the school deeply and know that those vents were not contaminated. There are certain places at all the sites that have been cleaned and sanitized and they are locked down not accessible to anyone, not even the teachers who are trying to get to their classrooms. So the custodial team has done a fabulous job. The maintenance team is going through and filling out tickets like there is no tomorrow. They are going through our site with a fine-tooth comb and trying to address as many things and taking advantage of the time with no one present. Our grounds team, it was funny, I was on several meetings the other day, and here's Tom outside my window with the weed whacker and the lawnmower, and they are keeping our grounds and our facilities looking pristine. The kitchen crew, I can't say enough about them. Again, 771 meals times 10 a week. That's a lot of food. Our warehouse has more product coming in and out of it than ever before because it's coming in at such an astronomical pace. So we have our warehouse crew who are just doing a phenomenal job. The teachers and the aides and everyone who is working with students, seriously, this is an enormous undertaking. We have teachers who are trying to hold class at the same time every day and then trying to call students and families and say, hey, I didn't see you today. We have teachers who are trying to make contact with all their kids every day. If you haven't heard from your teacher and you are watching, please contact them and check what email address you have on file, because we've had a couple of kiddos who we could not contact their parents. And to be honest with you, I've instructed the principals that if we can't contact them, we need to consider a welfare check. And so we're going to hunt you down because all of your kiddos are important and we want to make sure that they keep moving forward. So the school district is doing the best that we can under the circumstances. There's a lot of frustration out there because information keeps changing. I had an employee today say, we just got used to this and now you're changing it again. And my response is, well, hold on tight. It's going to change 10 more times before we get to next week. So, and it's just nothing that we can predict or anticipate at this point. I will tell you that if we have some kind of social distancing mandate prior to June 5th, I don't know how we can bring the kids back. We're not prepared for it right now. My goal, our goal as an administrative team and our goal as a district is to honor our kids at graduation. We're having some big discussions about that right now. That's priority number one. How do we take care of our graduates? If we get the all clear in July, Timberwolf Stadium will be pristine and we will hold a ceremony. So we're looking at different options for that. The district is holding up the best that we can, recognizing that the environment changes minute by minute, hour by hour. We are attending the county OES meetings every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday so that we are informed with the latest information. I attend the city EOC meetings every Friday so that we can be informed of what's happening in our community. We meet as an administrative team. We were meeting every day. We're down to twice a week. And if we need to meet more, we meet more. Our principals are meeting with the staff at least once a week, sometimes twice a week or 3 times a week. We hold virtual meetings. We maintain our social distance. Our teachers still need to get into their classrooms, so we're limiting their ability to come in to anywhere from 10 to 13 people at a time during certain shift hours so that they aren't crossing and getting in each other's way. So we have a lot going on. We have a lot of balls in the air that we are juggling. But I have to commend every single one of our staff members, the secretaries, the aides, the bus drivers, our district office staff, our principals, our administrators, our teachers. My goodness, our teachers. They are juggling so many balls. So for right now, we are doing the best that we can. This was not something we anticipated. This was not something that we took a whole lot of time to prepare for, but we are doing the absolute best we can with what we have. And if anyone out there is not in touch with their teacher, email, call the school, leave a message. You can call the district office, get in touch with your teacher. Right now, students and kids need to connect with their teacher. Thank you for asking.
Okay, anything else from the board? No? Okay. All right, then we'll move on to 8.3, our facilities report.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. Well, hello, everybody. Haven't seen you all in a while together. It's nice to see you. Before I start, I want to thank Becky and Wendy for their amazing leadership through this thing. They've had to make decisions throughout the day. Every decision they have made has been the right decision, I feel. And it really makes it easier for us to do our jobs. So thank you both very much for your leadership. It's appreciated. Becky, you did basically my facilities report, so I'll just recap on some
Barry,
things.
would you introduce yourself?
Oh, yes, Barry Tobin, Director of Facilities. So I'll just go by department. First off, transportation. CHP conducted our annual bus certifications. All buses were successfully certified. They also inspected all of the training documents, driver hour logs, and district drug and alcohol policy, and there were no discrepancies found. Our electric school bus is on hold for now because the manufacturer wasn't able to meet the deadline in accordance with the grant. However, we are still getting the electric school bus. North Coast Air Resource Board has granted us a waiver because it was not our fault. So we were looking at an estimated delivery time of summer of 2020. However, with what's going on, we're not sure if that's going to happen yet. So I will keep Wendy and Becky posted on that. And I'd like to just shout out to the bus drivers. They're delivering almost 200 meals a week to 5 remote locations, working cohesively with the nutrition services department. It's been awesome. They're happy to do it. So it's that whole thing that Pilar has put together it's just been amazing. It really has. And in the little amount of time that she had to do it. So it just shows that we are a team and we'll get it done. The grounds crew, they did an absolutely amazing job this year getting softball fields, baseball fields, and the track and all the track apparatus ready for all these spring sports. And dadgummit, we had to cancel all spring sports. I've received so many comments from coaching staff, from citizens in the public about how these fields have never looked better. And I relay that to the grounds crew regularly. They really take a lot of pride in what they do. So it's unfortunate that we're not able to use the fields. And they also took advantage of the 3 weeks of the school closure before spring break with the wet weather, and they were able to aerate the Redwood track field, the entire middle school field, and the entire Dana Gray field. That's not a fast process. That's going about a half a mile an hour with an aerator punching holes in the ground behind you. So, but now things are growing quite well, and they're trying to catch up on keeping the grass mowed. Amongst other things, weeds and everything else that's going on. The maintenance team during the February break, we had a huge breakthrough. We had a contractor from IAS come up and assist the maintenance team with the HVAC issues that we've had at the high school since the end of the modernization. It was probably the best money spent for that, not only because we got the HVAC system at the high school working properly, but the training that was provided to the maintenance staff. They now have a resource where they can call if they have, any issues that they can't figure out. They call this guy and he'll walk them through it. So that was huge. That's something that's been plaguing us for a while. And as Becky mentioned, they're also taking advantage of the downtime. They're getting to things that they normally can't get to during the day. They're able to. This is an extended break for them, so they're really taking advantage of the time. And then, as Becky mentioned, the custodial staff as well. I just wanted to let you guys know that all the cleaning chemicals that we're using are certified by the EPA to kill this COVID-19. So that's something that our custodial supply salesman sent me all the information on every piece of it, all the equipment that we use, all the chemicals that we use, and we're in good shape as far as that goes. I'm concerned for the future only because I don't know what's going to come down the pike as far as new cleaning guidelines as a result of this. I'm also a little bit concerned because I don't know the availability of these cleaning chemicals and materials that we're going to be using. What's it going to be? I mean, are we going to have to pre-order a year in advance? So I'm staying in contact with our custodial supply salesman, and he's keeping me in the loop with what's going on. So I think we're going to be okay.
So one of the things that we're going to be doing in our facilities is making sure that every classroom has a hand sanitizer dispenser, and you'll see that later on in the board meeting with the FBDTA MOU. It's interesting because Barry and I and Wendy talked about these dispensers, what was back in December, and we couldn't get them then. They were sold out. And so we asked Steve Turner over at MCOE to try and find some. He found 7. I asked him for 200. So there are some things that we're looking at and we're trying to figure out how to get. So know that we are taking COVID-19 very seriously. We and every other school district in our country is having the same issue though, availability.
Does anybody have any questions?
It might be a windy question, but given that the sites are mostly shut down, is there any cost benefit? I know it probably won't outweigh the costs that are going out, but with it being kind of dormant, is there any?
There will definitely be some cost savings here and there. I mean, I would certainly expect water utilities to be lower. We'll be saving on subs. So there are a number of areas where I expect, certain supplies that won't be used. So yes, I do anticipate that there will be some savings.
Barry, it's been mentioned a couple times that there are 5 locations that buses are dropping off food. Can you let us know what those locations are and what families do they need to sign up to pick up from that location, or can they just show up, or how does that work?
So basically the way we did it is we picked the out of town, a couple trailer parks, Wildwood Campground out Highway 20. And we know what students live there. However, Pilar went even further and contacted the families to see if they have additional kids that aren't enrolled in FBUSD, because the program is for kids 18 and under, not just for kids enrolled in FBUSD. So, and like Becky said, they're getting 10 meals. They're getting 5 days worth of breakfast and lunch. So when I say almost 200, we're going to what is it? Woodside Trailer Park, Wildwood.
And so Scott, just so you know, every kid who lives in the area of the stops were called. Right. So we specifically targeted all the families in those areas and sent them an email and an Aries all call to say that meals are going to come to this bus stop. So we didn't send it out to the whole district, because if you live on Whipple, you shouldn't be going out to Wildwood and picking up a meal.
Right. You come to the school to get the meal.
Right. So Pilar, with the help of Anna and Lamanda, got together the list of students who live in those areas, and they were called and notified that meals would be coming, and they were notified at the time to expect the bus.
Okay. So are these only kids that currently take the bus, or all families?
All families.
Yeah,
all families. All the families in that area. So that's how we targeted them, we tagged them, we made a group, and then we emailed and sent notifications to that group.
So if families are interested in getting some of these meals, who should they contact? Like if they haven't been called, like I live on Ocean Drive, which I think is one of the drop-offs. I've never gotten a call or an email, which is fine. But if there are families like mine, is there someone they can call if they want to get
so
meals?
Anybody who wants to know, has questions about meals, can call the district office, 961-2850. We are here Monday through Thursday. They can email Pilar, they can email me. I'm concerned that if you live on Ocean Drive and you didn't get a notification, that concerns me because I know that we created the list based on location. So we will look into that, and if need be, we will send out a notification again.
But is it possible that where their residence isn't in one of the circles of families that we're trying to reach? That yes, they are in that proximity, but we had, I think, fairly specific neighborhoods that were targeted, and yes, people that are near that are welcome to pick up there too. But we were, I think, trying to specifically target those families that needed the assistance most delivered.
Okay. Scott, anyone can receive a meal if you have a child between 0 and 18. You can call Pilar, you can call the district office, you can drive through Redwood or Dana Gray on a Tuesday and get your meals as well. And if there is a family who lives out of town and can't come in, if they contact us, we'll figure out a way to help.
And that 700 plus meals, that's almost half the district, right?
We have 1,800 kids in the district. But also remember that we are servicing Three Rivers, and Pilar had told us that Mendocino was on spring break and they were not doing meals. So we had some Mendocino families come over and get meals from us. We service any child, regardless of zip code.
Well, I was just excited to know that many kids were still eating.
No, it's a good number. It's a great number.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board or staff? Okay. I don't see all of you, so hopefully somebody will just hear. I'll just hear you, but I'm not too swift at this Google Meet. Okay, so we are so we are moving to the consent calendar, and so 9.1, 2, and 3 removed for further discussion.
So Kathy, you froze up for a little bit. I don't know if she froze up for anyone else. Okay, so Kathy, you froze up, and I think what you said was that discussion.
Yes. Is there anything that needs to be pulled from the consent items? Okay. Okay. Hearing nothing. Diana, will you please read the consent items?
9.1 warrants dated April 2nd, 2020, 9.2 personnel action report, and 9.3 Williams quarterly reporting.
Okay, and then I'll ask for a motion for the consent items.
Make a motion, we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right, so we're moving right along here. This will be the earliest meeting we've had. So we have a few action items. The first one is the social studies textbook adoption. Those textbooks were on display for quite some time. And then we've also heard Anna read the message from the social studies department. Is there any other comments or questions? Or Becky, do you have anything else you want to add?
So the only thing I haven't received from the social studies department is the quote from the publisher. And when all of this happened, contacting them has been a little difficult. I anticipate that this is probably going to be just like the science textbook adoption, which ran around $60,000. Just a note to everyone that this is, we use our restricted lottery monies for this. It is not general fund money. So I will work on getting a quote. Sorry.
Okay. And I actually didn't see the rubrics and stuff until just now. I went back in to see if they were there, and now they're there. So I know they gave them to Anna at the last meeting. So did anybody have any questions regarding the textbooks? Boy, we are a lively bunch tonight.
I have to tell you, the meeting is not as fun this way.
Okay. Well, if there's no questions, I do want to comment that this is the most inclusive. The social studies department was at the last meeting. I appreciate that. They sent in a message tonight. I just, again, I know it's not a big deal, but it does, I like to be feel a little connected to what's happening. So I really want to give kudos to them for making those extra steps. It does mean a lot.
They also presented to the Middle School Parents Club, just so that you're aware.
Oh, great. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, one more time. Any questions? Okay, then I'll call for a motion.
I move that we approve the adoption of the new social studies textbooks at Fort Bragg Middle School.
I second.
Any discussion? Okay, Anna?
Okay, trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee McAuliffe,
Yes.
trustee Metzen,
Yes.
trustee Paoli,
Yes.
and President Babcock.
Yes. Okay, 10.2, the Noyo Food Forest lease. Again, this was on discussion last month. Becky, do you have anything?
This is just to exercise the extension option that we had in the lease, which was that if things were going well, that they wanted to extend for two years. Their current lease expires in June. This is the extension. And if I could just, again, more accolades to go out into our community. Noyo Food Forest has been a pretty incredible resource. They have been providing food to not only to our kitchen so that our kids would have fresh vegetables in some of their bags. They gave snap peas, I think it was last week. They're also providing some produce for our food banks our food bank is struggling right now. Our food bank needs donations because people are struggling. Noyo Food Forest is doing an amazing job of lighting up all their gardens so that they can provide food for our community. So thank you, Noyo Food Forest. Emily Forrester has been a wonderful director. Steve Lund called me this week and just to let me know what the Food Forest was doing. They remain a huge, wonderful community support and resource. I actually bought 2 boxes of vegetables this week and my family's been thrilled with it. I gave a box to Twyla Rutherford. Her husband was Brent Rutherford, and their current greenhouse is named after him. So Noyo Food Forest is doing a great job. The food that they're producing is pretty magnificent. So I fully support their 2-year extension.
So question, so they have vegetables for sale? How does that work?
So they do a vegetable box on Thursday if you're on their email list. And they sell out, according to Julie Castillo, they sell out within an hour or 2. So the minute that email comes in, it's kind of like concert tickets back in the 90s, right? You jump on and you try and get your number. And so, Scott, if that's something you want, you let me know and I will try and get you a box through when it comes through, because I'm quick. But watch, next week I won't be, so who knows?
No, I asked not really for me. I know some of the stores on Sundays struggle with fresh produce. So any opportunities families have out there to get good, fresh, local produce, the better.
No, it's fabulous. It was a great box. Good stuff. Kathy froze. There she's back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay. Any other questions or comments, concerns with the lease extension?
So will there be an actual extension contract or MOU to extend, or?
So it's in their lease that it can be extended for 2 years. So what we'll do is get their current lease, change the date on it, and get that signed with your approval. And once you approve it here, we'll take care of the document on the backside. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I'll ask for a motion then, please.
I move to approve the option to extend with Noyo Food Forest.
I second.
Any discussion? Okay,
President Babcock,
Yes.
Trustee Matson,
Yes.
Trustee Makala,
Yes.
Trustee Schneider,
Yes, sorry.
and Trustee Paoli.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're moving to 10.3, the kudos tardy policy. Again, we had that on discussion last month to make sure that we had public comment if we needed it. Becky, any feedback? Anybody? Well, I guess school was kind of closed right after that. So.
Right after that. I don't think it's unreasonable. I don't believe it's unreasonable to have this added to our kudos policy. We are going to begin kudos registration in May, even if we have no idea at this point what our return will look like or resemble. But I do believe that this is not an unreasonable request. When you consider that we have kiddos who come to school as early as 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they are at school and, until after 6 o'clock, that's a long day. That's a long day. And no mama or papa wants to try and give their kiddo a long day. We get that. And we recognize that there are unintentional things that pop up in our lives where we can't help but be late. This policy, what it really does is say, hey, folks, please have a backup plan, because our staff also needs a break. So what I would like from the board is what number you think is appropriate. Is it after 3 late pickups we're done? Is it more than that? Late being after 6 o'clock. So I have a tendency to go low and say 3. I think 5 may be a little excessive. I think parents need more than 1, more than 2. So, or if you think this is unreasonable, we can have the discussion right now.
I think 3 or 4 is reasonable, and they just need to know they have to have a backup plan, because we all work and sometimes you can't get out on time. And so to have that, next person in line or the third person in line to pick up kids.
And we all do it. I can tell you, my goodness, you can talk to my oldest son about the number of times I forgot to pick him up. Sorry. But it happens. So we want to be able to offer some grace, but at the same time, we need to protect our staff as well. So I would like to just put it out there that 3 to me seems reasonable. And then after 3 times, you won't be in the program. And the reason I say that is because we typically have a pretty robust wait list. And if we have families who are on the wait list, who are wanting to get in, and then we have families who aren't abiding by our policies, then those are natural consequences. So whatever number you believe is reasonable for a 180-day school year. And just so you know, 5% of 180, 10% of 180 is 18. So 5% is 9. So this is a third of 5%. So 1.67. I don't know if that matters. I can't hear any of you. I don't know if you're laughing. I thought it was funny.
I think it's funny coming from a math teacher.
Yeah, okay.
I think 3. I that's my suggestion.
That's fine. I'll go with 3 as well.
I agree.
You're a lively group. So moving this forward, we probably need someone to make a motion, including the number then.
Okay, I move that we approve the new kudos updated tardy policy with 3 tardies, meaning that would be a removal from the program.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, Anna.
Okay, Trustee Schneider,
Yes.
Trustee Paoli,
Yes.
Trustee Makala,
Yes.
Trustee Matson,
Yes.
and President Babcock.
Yes. All right, 10.4, the resolution for the closure of school sites. Becky, I'm just going to let you talk about that one.
Okay, believe it or not, this is not necessary because we have the board policy 3516.5 that you already approved. That's part of our regulations and policies. And in that board policy, it said that the board gives the superintendent or designee the ability to close school. So that's what we've done. We've closed it. We haven't stopped school. We've closed access to the sites. So legal advised that we go ahead and bring this resolution to you so that it's public and that people know what we've done and that we are abiding by policies. So that's what this is. This is kind of a backup just to show our community that we are abiding by our policies.
And I just want to thank you. When this first thing started, you were very quick, you and Anna, to send that out to us so we knew what our role would be and what we needed to do. So thank you for that. So there is the board policy, and the resolution itself is in the board packet if anybody's listening at home. Are there any questions from the board members?
I have a question. So I don't know where I saw this, but at one point there was a resolution that's had it closed through May 1st. Looks like this is closing it for the rest of the school year.
So originally, when we were going to do this, we were going to do it through May 1st because that's what, at that moment in time, that's what we had declared. Then the public health order came out, and Michelle Hutchins, our county superintendent of schools, made the recommendation that we close schools through the rest of the year. So what made more sense to me, what makes more sense to ADCO, is that we do this resolution based on the remainder of the year, or else I have to come back to you in May and do another resolution. We can take this back at any time. If there's a miracle vaccine, a miracle antibody therapy that comes through, and everyone says, okay, here you go, come back. This resolution can be amended and canceled. We can come back to it, but I didn't. May 1st is before the next board meeting, which is May 13th.
So I would be much more in favor of a resolution that closed it till May 13th. I think that, and I'll admit, personally biased because I have a senior, that shutting the door 100%, that seniors will never see each other again at school, is going to be disheartening. You know, there may be a way for the last week of school for seniors to fill up the entire high school and at least have some sort of physical something that they can have together. And so I have a hard time just shutting any opportunity through the rest of the year.
I don't think this shuts the opportunity, but I absolutely understand what you're saying. I'm looking at my calendar, so I'm moving over. And would you feel more comfortable to do this to May 29th? Our next board meeting is May 14th. I'm looking at the calendar again. So it's at the board's discretion. And again, this is not necessary. This was something that legal advised us to do just to be transparent. If I don't want any parent of a senior to feel as if we are closing down any kind of opportunity, because I agree with you, Scott. If we have the opportunity to do something with social distancing and bring our kids back, I'd be okay with saying only seniors are coming back right now, because we're going to give you a little bit of closure and honor you on your last year at Fort Bragg High School. So I don't want anyone to think that we are closing the doors on any opportunities. I was just trying to save us some time so that we wouldn't have to do it again. That was my only concern. If you feel like it's sending the wrong message by doing it too far out, then we can change that date.
Yeah, I don't know if it's sending the wrong message. I just, if we can do it through May 15th, this county's been very fortunate with the virus. And if things continue that way, maybe there is an opportunity for, some of the any of the, kids have worked really hard for a long time. And
no, I agree.
That's just my, I'm unbiased. I'm a parent of a senior. So I'm one, board member.
So I'm just wondering if the wording, it says close the sites through June 5th, 2020, while the shelter-in-place order is in effect. If the shelter-in-place order is lifted, I would assume it would negate this.
That's why this doesn't shut the schools down. If we have any kind of window of opportunity to bring kids back, hear me loud and clear, we're going to bring kids back.
Right.
If the social distancing ordinance to bring kids back is so strict, then we're going to look at creative solutions to get our seniors back together. And it might be that only the seniors get to come back for between these hours and these hours. I have no idea. So please don't quote me, don't quote me, don't quote me, don't quote me. But I absolutely agree with Board Member Schneider. We do not want to close the door on giving our seniors the opportunity to come back together. At the same time, we need to be very careful with how we step through this. So whatever you all feel comfortable with is fine with me. Again, technicality, it's not something that we have to do. We're doing it for transparency purposes.
And well, for me personally, I understand from the senior perspective and for all the students, quite frankly, but it's above us. This is the state's recommendation. This is the the state superintendent's recommendation. It's not really something that we have the power to change. And so above us kind of created this place for us.
Well, and again,
so we have, like you said, we have to kind of use our directive of above to make the choices for us down here at the district level.
And again, this resolution is not necessary. We're doing it for transparency. So whatever you want the date to be is fine. We can do it again. So if you want to have it go through May 15th so that we can revisit this at the next board meeting and keep it on the front burner, that's just fine. But the reality is that no one on this screen is going to have the power to bring kids back until the state and our public health officer gives us the all clear. Mm-hmm. So as much as I'd love to get our seniors back together and have everybody in Timberwolf, we just don't have the power to do that right now.
Is it possible to amend the language to just say until June 5th or until the shelter-in-place order is lifted?
Sure. It's our resolution. We can add what we want to it.
Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's totally up to you. I have no problem with amending the date to be like May 15th, and then we come back at our May 14th meeting and I give you another one and we do it all again. I mean, and maybe that would make people feel better.
Well, what if we didn't have a date at all? We just said it was closed until the shelter-in-place order is lifted.
We could do that too. I haven't asked legal. Again, we don't have to have this resolution, so.
It sends a message, and I think that I hear what Diana, I hear what you're saying. Obviously, we have no control over any of this, but if there's any inkling of hope that any of the students will have an opportunity to have some camaraderie before summer happens, I know Becky and everyone will work hard to make that, and the teachers will work hard to make that happen. And this resolution just seems like no matter what, and we're closed.
Well, here's the other thing. You could table this resolution until the next board meeting.
That would be my suggestion.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so if that's what you'd like to do, and then I can ask legal just to make sure that we can do something like removing the June 5th date and make it until the shelter-in-place order is lifted. But again, this resolution is not necessary. We have the board policy that allows us to close.
I like tabling it as well. And I think, well, maybe we didn't mention it, but our county superintendent is the one that told us that we'd be closed till the end of the school year. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that was above us as well.
And the reality is that you could go against the county superintendent. I wouldn't recommend it. No. But we could, if we wanted to, we could go rogue. Again, not a recommendation. But if you want to table it, we can table it. It's not a problem.
Okay, I'm hearing, I think everybody said they're in favor of tabling that, and that will, that will not only allow us to know what's happening in a month, but we will have.
Kathy froze.
Just that we would, since we don't have to do the resolution, but we would do it at a later date, so there would be something official in our, I don't know what would ever come back, but right in the archives that we did do it. So is there any other comments or discussion about that?
What will be interesting is how many times the message changes between now and May 14th when we meet again. Because I bet you it's more than 10, but it'll be interesting. It's changed a whole heck of a lot since March 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, Isn't that the truth? Okay, then I guess we don't need to read the resolution. This will be tabled to our next board meeting. Okay. Thank you. All right, so we are on to 10.5, the MOUs with CSEA and the FBDTA. So I'll turn that over to Becky.
So because there was a change in working condition due to COVID-19, both labor unions requested to bargain the conditions of that change. They were both aided by their regional union representation. So I was able to work with Nicole McLean from CSEA, and then who did we? And my goodness, I just blanked on his name. Steve Savage. Sorry, Steve. Steve Savage from CTA. And these are the two agreements that we came up with. What's interesting is I just remind you that when CTA and CSEA work from a regional level, they are working from the perspective that they're working with their toughest units. And then from our perspective as an employer, legal looks at this from their toughest perspective. And somewhere in the middle lies the truth. I have faith in both of our bargaining units that everyone is going to honor and do the right thing when it comes to this pandemic. These are the two agreements that we came up with, that we went back and forth with, just to make sure that everyone felt that they were protected. So I signed both the agreements and feel comfortable with forwarding these to you. Questions?
I just went back to make sure because I was a little worried, as Barry was mentioning, the inventory on these items, but I just went back and read it's hand soap or sanitizer. So we're okay if the sanitizer is still MIA come August.
And I specifically spoke to FBDTA about that because I expressed our concern. Barry's been looking for these items since December. He hasn't been able to get them, for quite a while. And again, we even reached out to the county and said, hey, we want 200 dispensers so that we can put them on the walls right now, even if we don't fill them. Let's just get them ready to get filled. Steve Turner found 7. So he ordered the 7, but even those 7 look like they're back ordered. So long story short, we're going to do the best that we can. FBDTA recognizes that. We have soap in every location that has running water.
So Becky, I have a question. You've signed these MOUs already. So what does our action entail? Like, what does it do?
It means that you get to approve it or not approve it. You could look at me and say, you know what, Becky, we don't approve this. Go back and do it again. But I bring it to you so that you know what's happening with it.
Okay. Thanks. They seem fine. I just...
Okay, any other questions or concerns from the board?
No.
Okay, I'll take no one else. Or Diana, did you have something?
No.
See you unmuted. Okay. All right. Okay, then if we don't have any further questions, nothing's coming through from the email, so we'll ask for a motion, please.
I move to approve the MOUs with the CSEA and the FBDTA.
I second.
All right, any discussion? All right, Anna.
Okay, President Babcock,
Yes.
Trustee Paoli,
Yes.
Trustee Matson,
Yes.
Trustee Makala,
Yes.
Trustee Schneider.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So 10.6 is the resolution 20-5, the elimination of a classified position. So this is not necessarily a person per se, but anyway, I'll let Becky just explain it.
So what happened was we had a classified Secretary 3 who requested for a partial leave of absence a few years ago so that she could complete her degree. And that was brought to you, I believe, 2 years ago. And the board approved that. And when we approved that leave of absence, we created a half-time position, that was a Secretary 3 position, to fill in the gap of her leave. So she is now just accepted a full-time job with FBUSD as a teacher because she has her education done. Yay! And so that half-time position is no longer necessary because we are going to fill it with a full-time position. So we need to lay off and suspend this half-time position. It's no longer necessary. And then that position has now opened as a full-time position, and interviews are tomorrow. So.
Okay, so is there any questions from the board? Okay. All right, so if not, I will, oh, Diana, will you please read? It's pretty short. So do you have it up?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have Diana read the resolution.
Resolution number 2005. Whereas the Fort Bragg Unified School District maintains the following positions within the Classified Management Service. 1, Administrative Secretary. Whereas due to lack of work and or lack of funds, the Board of Trustees of the district hereby finds that it will be necessary to reduce or eliminate certain services to the following extent. Administrative Assistant Alternative Ed, 0.5 FTE to be eliminated. Now, therefore, be it resolved that effective June 16, 2020, or 60 days after service of notice, whichever is later, the classified positions of the district shall be reduced or eliminated to the extent herabove set forth, and be it further resolved that the superintendent or designee of this district is hereby authorized and directed to give notice of the reduction and or elimination of the foregoing services to the appropriate classified employees of the district in accordance with applicable law, and be it further resolved that the superintendent or designee is hereby authorized and directed to inform each such employee of his or her displacement rights, if any, and his or her rehire rights. The foregoing resolution was passed and adopted by the Board of Trustees of the Fort Bragg Unified School District on April 16th, 2020 by the following vote. Signed by President, Board of Trustees.
You're muted, Kathy. Oh.
All right. Okay, so if there's no further, then I will ask for a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 20.05.
I second.
Nope.
Are you ready?
Okay, we are.
All right, Trustee Schneider,
Yes.
Trustee Makala,
Yes.
Trustee Matson,
Yes.
Trustee Babcock,
Yes.
and Trustee Paoli.
Yes.
Okay, and our last action item tonight, we've been working on this a long time, the vision and mission of the district. January is when was it
November, we started,
I was
we
gonna
constructed
say.
it.
Yeah, we had a workshop in January, but no, it was the one before that. So it's been vetted with all sites, in lots of places discussed, and we've talked about it many times and brought it to the board and the public there. Do we have any final concerns or questions about it? Well, it's a good thing we didn't have any lively discussion for our meeting tonight. Okay. Well, I'm excited that we are, moving forward, and I know Scott's excited to have it be infused in the district. So I think it'll be good.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move to approve item 10.7 of the vision and mission statement.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, Anna.
Okay, Trustee Matson,
Yes.
Trustee Makala,
Yes.
President Babcock,
Yes.
Trustee Paoli,
Yes.
Trustee Schneider.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. See what happens when we don't, school is, I don't know, this is so weird. Okay.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, our viewership is up by like 400%. We have 11 whole people watching. So let me tell you, normally it's 3.
Okay.
Actually, Kathy, before you go on, just some clarifying comments that I'm seeing from Anna here. The calls went to families in the campgrounds, not the surrounding neighborhood, Scott, in regards to the meals. And then also, that's how Pilar was able to create the number of lunches. And then I think this is in regards to Noyo Food Forest. They do their boxes on Tuesday, and they're also doing plant starts, but we are not soliciting anyone for anything, but that was what
For information purposes.
Yes, information purposes only. And I think, according to Anna, the email comes out on Sunday.
So next is our governance handbook. We have been working on that probably since November 2. I think we've made some real progress, and some good positive things have been added and clarified a little bit. So it's in the Google Drive. I don't know if I got it to Anna soon enough. I don't know if it's in the actual packet, but it is in our drive. And as soon as we have proofread it to death, it will come forward, I guess, for an official signing and formal approval. Well, I don't know when we'll be together, but we do need to sign it and put the date that we approve it. So I don't know. Did everybody get a chance to look at the latest?
I did. I had one thought, and thank you, Scott, for doing the onboarding information, was that it talks about after someone's elected but not yet sworn in to do an orientation, we have to be careful that we don't breach any confidentiality or anything, because they won't actually be members until they're actually sworn in, would be the only thing that would be on my radar.
Good point.
And I just wanted to say thanks, Scott. I think that's a great addition, putting in the onboarding.
So my only thing is, I think we need to mesh the section that was there before to that. I just think we need to kind of melt that together.
Yeah.
And should we, because if you're elected in November and then you're not sworn in until December, I mean, you actually sit at that meeting. So I guess if we just make the note, Jerry, do you think, versus saying, don't really do that until after December, but then they're going to be thrown in and.
Well, I think there's a lot of things you can talk about and educate this person on. It just, we have to be careful that we can't, inadvertently talk about a personnel issue or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll see if we can add some kind of little asterisk at the bottom or something to remind us that that is definitely an issue. Okay. So the next, everybody's okay with where we're at. We'll just bring it next month, and maybe we'll be in person. Who knows? But, or we'll leave it at the office, or we'll just do it. And as long as we're using it and doing good protocols, if it's not signed till later, we'll be fine. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Just one
Questions?
quick thought. I know, I don't know, Becky, if you do this or not. When you have candidates for the board who are going to be officially on the ballot, do you include them in public, like non-closed session board emails? Like, do they get board packets? Do they get things like that so that they can?
They have access to all of that because it's all online.
Okay.
So so first off, recognize that I've been the superintendent. This is my 4th year, and the only elections we have been for you and Mary and Kathy, right? Who just ran? I don't remember. No, not Kathy.
Me and Scott.
I ran.
Oh, Diana and Scott. And Mary, you had to run again because you were in a 2 years.
No, that's the one that's coming up. Mary
Okay.
and mine and Seed are up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran
Okay.
2 years ago. I run again.
I
So-
think generally what's happened is if candidates request, packets or information from the district, they can get whatever is available to the public anyway, and sometimes that has happened. They don't get necessarily included in emails and stuff. Once they become candidates, once they're elected before they're sworn in, they can get anything but confidential information, because again, it's public, but we have included them in the in any emails to the board that don't involve confidential issues.
Okay.
That's sort of been the practice.
And I think we even had a similar situation. I don't know if it was with you, Scott, or with you, Mary, but you couldn't, we decided to hold closed session at the end of the meeting so that you can be included in the information, because you had to be sworn in first. So we didn't do our typical closed session at the beginning of the meeting, 1 December.
Yeah, that was when Scott
Was that
and I
you?
were new. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I do think it's important. I know once I was on leave and no longer a teacher, for 6 months, I started coming to the board meetings. So I think that is a big, so they really, or watch them at home, but to really know what's going on before you get thrown
Jump in.
Right, because the acronym can get you.
Yeah.
Okay. If we don't have any other questions or comments about that, let's wait until we're in person, because it's got to be signed and stuff. But I'm excited. We've definitely made the progress. Okay. So any advanced planning or suggestions for future board meetings? I think.
Yeah. Do we need to reschedule the special that we were supposed to have in April? Or
So for right now, we have suspended the third set of benchmarks. It appears right now that CDE and will give us guidance on LCAP and our dashboard. Supposedly by tomorrow, everyone is hopeful that will happen so we can figure it out and have something to folks on Monday. The special meeting that we were supposed to have was supposed to be on benchmark reporting, which we are not going to do. We're just going to cancel that. We were doing LCAP participation and input, and right now it looks like that's going to be suspended. So all those things right now for that special board meeting is not something we can do. We can talk about a special board meeting for budget, but we aren't going to know anything until after May 14th. And even then, I'm going to really caution you. I don't believe whatever comes out on May 14th is going to be the tried and true situation. I sat on the AXA meeting today. AXA is the Association for California School Administrators. There were 200 superintendents sitting on that meeting today, and we just listened, not even knowing how to handle the information that was coming at us. No one believes right now that the information from the state on May 14th is 100% going to stick. So there's really no point in having a budget workshop with all of you at this point, because we still need to hope for the best. Thank you, Wendy Boyce, and thank you, board, for having our reserve. That reserve is going to help us. This budget, this economic stop that's happened in our state, we are going to feel the pangs of this for the next few years, and having even just a little reserve is going to help us in the next few years with this. So I'm not sure what special meetings, if we should have at this point until we know more. The 2 regular meetings that we have in June, I believe, will suffice for dealing with any last minute information, because those 2 June meetings were primarily scheduled for the LCAP, one to be the hearing, one to be the approval. I don't believe we will have an LCAP to approve, because I believe the state is going to suspend that for this next year. So we can use those 2 meetings to handle any last minute things that come up.
Okay.
Okay. So then we're just going to is everybody okay with just canceling the special in May? We'll take
Yes.
it off the calendar.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. All right. And then we have 2 in June. So I think even if we needed to do some budget hashing, we could squeeze it into those 2.
And the good news is, because we're all sheltering in place, if we have to call a special meeting, I bet you'll be available. So the good news about a special meeting is that if we do need to call something, it only requires a 24-hour agenda posting. So if there is something that happens that requires us getting together, we can do that pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it for planning. Any housekeeping, anything else that we need to know about, or we've talked about when food pickup is only on Tuesdays. There is now pickup or delivery available. If you do need something and you are in those surrounding areas, I'm sure Pilar will work with you to get those kids fed. So give Pilar a call or shoot her an email. What else do we talk about tonight as far as things going?
Well, the parent resource that Anna's been updating, which is wonderful. Thank you, Anna. That would be a great resource for people.
So if folks go to the parent resource page, and the link is right on this agenda, it's right on, if you go to www.fbusd.us and you select district office, you will see in big bold COVID-19 updates. And then if you scroll down a little further, not even like a half scroll, you'll see a parent resource link. There are many resources on that page. Anytime someone sends us something wonderful that they're doing with their kiddos, we put that link on that page. There are things like the warm line. If you are struggling, and I'm not talking just people with mental health concerns, but if you're just struggling and this whole thing is hard for you and you need someone to talk to, there's the warm line that the county put out. That's on that page. There are many resources for our families. If you are experiencing some difficulties and you're not sure who to contact, you can always email us here at the school district, and we'll do our best to help in any way we can. So Anna is sharing her screen, and you can see the parent resource page, and there's the warm line that I talked about, and right up at the top, there's the warm line with the big phone number. That's something for anyone. It doesn't have to be an underlying mental health issue. If you just need someone to talk to because you're struggling, that's a great resource. There's lots of parent resources. There are a lot of free resources available to families right now because of the distance learning. So feel free to check those out. If there is a resource that you have that you think is particularly helpful and wonderful, please share it with us. Send Anna an email, and she can get it on that page.
Okay. Can you tell how many hits that? Am I muted? No, I'm on. Can you, Anna, tell how many hits that gets, or how many people are viewing that?
I don't know right now, but I can definitely do the Google analytics on it and let you know.
Ari can look at the statistics, and we can ask him.
I was just curious because it's really, especially now with this, it's really wonderful for families, and a lot of work has gone into that. So I just hope people are taking advantage.
And the warm line now is 7 days a week. So the county is really extending, you'll get a counselor that answers the phone and help you through just your struggle for the day.
Okay, well, Becky, do you have anything else?
No, I think we've hit it all. Again, if any parents, any families are out there who are feeling their needs are not being met by the school district, please contact your teachers, contact your principals, contact us at the district office. We're here to help, and we can't address something if we don't know an issue exists.
Okay. And thank you for always having everybody in our district as a very open door and available. And I think that's even more important now. But I think not all districts are that fortunate to be able to just call up the facilities manager or, and talk to somebody. So thank you all for being there for the families. Okay, well, I guess that's it. We'll see you all again I just need a motion to adjourn, please.
I will make my first virtual motion to adjourn.
Thank you,
I'll
Jerry.
second.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Have a
thank you,
good
team.
evening.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you, Becky, for guiding us.
Good night.